For some, airline travel is great. Boarding a plane, maybe taking a nap, and waking up to a completely different culture and landscape is magical. For others, it's a challenge, getting to the airport hours before, going through security, and boarding the plane just to cram yourself into a tiny seat next to a stranger is a nightmare. For most of those passengers, the only thing that makes air travel bearable is knowing that there will be movies, TV shows, and radio stations provided by the airline to help keep their mind off the whole ordeal. In the airline industry, the TV screens are referred to as in-flight entertainment systems, or IFEs for short. Although there are lots of different forms of IFEs, I want to focus on the IFEs contained in the seatback. Sure, sometimes there's a problem with the system and it forces you to complete the half-done crossword in the in-flight magazine, but usually all you have to do is plug your earphones into the armrest and use a touchscreen to select your diversion of choice. It's as easy as that to access hours of entertainment. But for a select slice of the traveling public, IFEs, especially touchscreen IFEs, are extremely difficult, if not impossible to use. What if, instead of seeing this, you see this, or this, or in some cases, this? My presentation is going to focus on touchscreen IFEs and the challenge they present to visually impaired or blind passengers, and the solutions some companies are introducing. When traveling, visually impaired or blind passengers, or VIBs for short, who want to use touchscreen IFEs depend heavily on the flight attendant or passengers sitting next to them to read the options out loud and select what they want to watch. This takes away independence and autonomy for VIB passengers, as bothering someone to turn up or down the volume or change a show can make you feel like a burden. Although most VIBs use technology all the time in their daily lives, when flying, many admitted that they simply just sit there. When touchscreen technology was introduced, there weren't any considerations for VIB passengers, and they were effectively removed from the experience all other passengers were experiencing. If you fall into the category of people who think that in-flight entertainment is just the icing on the cake, or that airlines don't have any obligation to provide you with entertainment, consider this. 2 Ontario residents brought a case against Air Canada to the Human Rights Commission in 2008, claiming that by not offering an alternative to the IFE touchscreen for visually impaired passengers, Air Canada was denying them a service offered to everyone else. In 2016, the complaint was resolved, with Air Canada pledging to make all of their systems more accessible in the future. In 2009, Air Canada introduced a kind of cover that went over the top of the seatback to offer tactile references to match the options on the touchscreen, as well as a remote control. The cover, although a great innovation, only solved half of the problem. The tactile template helped blind passengers navigate the main menu, but there was no voice callouts for the menu options and no described content either. For passengers with other visual impairments, such as cataracts, or macular degeneration, or glaucoma, the IFE was still difficult to access. So Air Canada went further and in 2016 designed a more VIB user-friendly IFE with easy swipe and touch sensors, as well as easily identifiable colors for other visual impairments. The system also recognized voice commands, which could be reused at any time. It was another step forward, but it was only available on one of Air Canada's aircraft type. So here's the tough decision for airline managers. How much should an airline consider the needs of this small category of passengers, and how much should they spend to improve it? Although a reported 500,000 Canadians live with significant sight loss, which impacts their quality of life, really it's a small percentage of the traveling public. If a company does decide to do something, the question becomes, do they develop a system that works with their existing aircraft, or do they roll something out as technology itself advances and they acquire better aircraft with improved capabilities? If an airline chooses to bring a solution to market sooner with their existing aircraft, managers would need to consider the cost of retrofitting all of their IFE systems across multiple aircraft type, which could easily cost millions of dollars, as well as time lost while the aircraft are taken offline to do the upgrades. If they choose to wait, well, there's more opportunity for competitors to step in and take the lead. An accessible IFE is something that falls into the compete or qualify discussion. If an airline develops a truly innovative solution to the problem, it puts them in the compete category. Word of mouth spreads quickly in special needs communities, and if you offer something that makes life easier, especially something that relates to independence, it will be quickly recommended by the support groups to their users. an airline offering modified IFEs could quickly become the airline of choice for VIB passengers. But as we all know, as technology advances and becomes more available, the cost will decrease and it would fall into the qualified category, making it a huge upfront investment without a lot of payoff for the first airline to offer it. Currently, however, this discussion isn't even happening, as very few airlines have accessible options at all, and there's no legislation in Canada urging companies to be innovative. Elsewhere, however, there has been innovation in providing IFE access to VIBs without incurring massive costs to an airline. UK-based airline Virgin Atlantic serves 33 destinations internationally, and in December 2017, they unveiled their new Blue Box Accessible IFE, or AIFE for short. The Blue Box AIFE, unlike the cover designed by Air Canada, is a portable iPad-based user interface which is wirelessly connected to the existing IFE system. Because it's portable, they can load as many as they need onto a flight, and it can be used in any seat on their 41 aircraft. After recognizing that the aviation industry is in general very poor at addressing challenges for VIB passengers, Virgin Atlantic used their existing relationship with the Guide Dogs for the Blind Association and chose to work with Blue Box Aviation Systems to develop a better alternative. Blue Box is part of the Airline Passenger Experience Accessibility Working Group and wanted to find a solution to enhance VIB's experience and give Virgin Atlantic an edge over their competitors. Reports about the development of the AIFE indicate that the focus on target user feedback and early interaction were key. Being a new technology, an agile project management style was used to have early workable prototypes to identify VIB user issues which sighted developers couldn't anticipate. When developing a tool to help a wide range of visual impairments, this kind of approach was crucial. For example, when developing the product, Blue Box learned that many of the users had never used a tablet before, so the ideas of swiping left or right or having a home button were completely lost on them. They had to consider these users when developing the product and not let their own knowledge of touchscreen technology influence the design. They learned they needed to have ultra-high zoom levels and higher contrast menus, and they worked in some background functions to help in serviceability. By failing faster to succeed sooner, a lot of time was saved during early development on features that just wouldn't work. The AIFE system finally allows VIB users to control the content they want and to enjoy the same selection as other passengers. And it's leagues ahead of the other tools developed by airlines, but it too has its challenges. Because the AIFE can only facilitate the access to existing content. But if the content itself does not come with described video, which is the most important feature for blind passengers, the AIFE cannot create it. So it's another step in the right direction, but there is still a long way to go. So why does it matter to me and my company? Well, first and foremost, I'm a flight attendant, so the safety, of course, is my number one priority with passengers, but following closely is the comfort and service that I can provide to them. Currently, my company has no alternative for VIB passengers, and while I certainly don't mind helping them, I really wish there was more I could offer. What resources I have on board are, of course, the choice of the company, but knowing that something like this AIFE exists gives me hope that someday it can be implemented across all airlines, especially given its relative low cost and portability. Secondly, I'm also a flight attendant instructor at the Atlantic Flight Attendant Academy, and our school teaches would-be flight attendants about the industry and everything that's involved with it. We focus heavily on special attention passenger handling, and we have a blind guest speaker who, over the past 3 years, has become a good friend of mine. By making students aware of the challenges that VIBs face and introducing them to the technology that they may someday interact with, it makes them more comfortable when talking with special needs passengers about their experiences and capabilities. People don't necessarily remember the price they pay for a ticket, but they will remember the kind actions of a flight attendant and come back to that airline in the future. So, whether it's a tactile cover or a portable option, it's not hard to see that making IFEs more accessible will only make air travel better. If you want more information about this topic, feel free to look through the links that I posted on the forum, and for sure check out this short video from Virgin Atlantic about the Blue Box AIFE. Thanks so much, and I hope you enjoyed my presentation.